Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Whitney, and this video is going to be on building a bearing box, just like this little guy right here. He's not very big, but he holds a nice roller bearing that should work well for your project if you have a, say, stepper motor right beside it that's holding up something and you want that movement to be smooth, like in a rotating plate of some sort. So let's get going. The first thing that you're going to need to do before you get too far is going to be to download Adobe Illustrator on your laptop. Now, as a UK student, you have access to all the Adobe Creative Cloud suite, which is really nice. This includes Adobe Illustrator. So now we're going to create a box first in a program called Makercase, and then we'll use Adobe Illustrator to modify that box, and then we'll go print it out. So our design is going to be this cute little bearing box right here. And over on this side where my cursor is going, this is the shape there, or the overall dimensions that we need and what we're going to make it look like. Now we're going to start with a very square box and add these features, this shortened wall, this hole, the fact that we've got several of them. We're going to add that all in Adobe Illustrator. So let's get going. You're going to go now to Makercase, which is a online program. So use your favorite web browser, and I'm going to escape from here and use Google Chrome. Well, now we are in Makercase. You can see up here that we are in makercase.com, and I have the choice of making several simple boxes, a polygon box, rounded corners, dividers, and I'm going to choose a simple box. That simple box brings me down here, and I can choose length, width, and height. The height I want to be just under an inch, 0.9 inches. The width I want to be 0.25 inches, which allows enough room for my bearing to move. And the depth in this case I want to be 1 inch. These are inside dimensions, not outside dimensions. I want to have clearance for my part, and I have an 1/8 inch of material thickness, so I need to make sure that the inside is there. I want my box to be open, and I'm not going to do fingers on this one just because it's such a tiny box that Makercase seems to have a little bit of problems with that. So I'm just going to go with flat sides. I'm going to download my box plans. And the next thing I see here is I've got names all over the back of them. I want to disable that because I just want the squares, and I'm going to download the SVG file. And there it is. And now we're going to save that onto the computer. We're now in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to open a file. I can open it this way. I can come up here and say File, Open, and I'm going to open the file that says Box. And there it is. There's the one we just did. Now it's kind of small because it's not a very big box. So one of the first things I probably want to do is zoom in on it. I come over here to the left-hand thing, and I've got a microscope looking, or a magnifying glass looking thing. It says it's the zoom tool. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select it. By the way, if I wanted to zoom out, so that was the zoom in. Say I got too close. I want to zoom out. I'm going to hold down the Alt, and you can see it turns to the negative side, or if you've got a Mac, it's Command, and I can click, and it goes out. So I now want to go to a general selection tool, which is this black arrow up here in the corner. I'm going to select the whole thing by a drag a rectangle around it. And you can see I've selected it. Now I can do some things with it. Over here, the stroke is how thick those lines are. They're really thick. I don't want them that thick to play with. So I'm going to take them down to about a 1 point to work with them here. I also have all of these things are grouped in a single group. I'm going to come up here and ungroup them. So now it says group if I wanted to get them again, but I'm going to leave them ungrouped. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to create some circles. I want to round some things off and change some heights. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, we'd like to go ahead and put some holes, some circles in our sides, and that's going to allow for the center part of the bearing to have a shaft that goes through it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to inspect my part right here. So I'm going to click on a white little arrow. I'm going to click on this blue one. I've ungrouped it so it just fix this one up. And you can see that I can move my cursor around and see points on it. This is the X and Y, 0.61 in the X and 0 in the Y is the top here, and 1.61. So it's 1 inch wide, which is what I thought. So halfway in that is going to be 1.11, all right? And I want to come ½ inch off the bottom, which means if I'm 0.9, this is going to be down 0.4. So I'm going to want a Y of 0.4. So I know where I want the center of my circle, and because I've measured my rod, I know that I want a 0.375 diameter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. Now here's your rectangle tool. The ellipse tool, which is also your circle tool, is hidden underneath it. If I click on that lower corner, I can go down and select the ellipse tool. I'm going to come over here to this box. I'm going to draw myself a circle. Now, in there, I'm not really worried about placing it exactly correctly. I'm going to go up here and click off of it. And then I'm going to click the white fine adjustment tool. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click the center of this circle. And over here on the side, I can see the X and the Y position of that center, and I can see the width and the height of the circle. So I want the X position to be 1.1. So I'm going to change that. And I want the Y position to be 1.4. So I'm going to change that. Then I'm going to say that I want my circle width and height. Of course, this is circles, so they're going to be the same, 3.75 on this one and 3.75 on that one. And I now have a perfect circle at the point that I want it right here in the center. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click off of it for a moment, just so you can see it's there. And I'm going to go ahead and select it again. And when I select it again, this time I'm going to copy and paste it and move one down here. So I'm going to select the whole thing again. It comes up. I'm going to, because I've got a PC, I'm going to do Control-C, but you'll be Command-C on a Mac. Control-C, move myself down here, Control-V, and I've got another circle, which I'm going to take with this lovely thing where I get that little box there. Can you see it come up? It comes up a little box. That means I can move it. I'm going to move it down here. Again, I'm just going to put it, now this is telling me I'm lined up pretty good, but I'm going to put it underneath there and I'm going to check my X. Well, I did line it up very well. Look at that, 1.11. And now I'm going to change the Y, and the Y needs to be 1.4. Okay. The X and the width and the height are exactly the same. So I put that in, it adjusts it up a little bit, and now I have my two holes. Now I'm going to do an interesting thing here in Adobe. I'm going to round these corners, and it's fairly easy to do. I'm going to take my white selection tool, and I'm going to go over and click on this corner anchor point. And when I do that, I get a little bitty spot there. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on that so you can see that a little bit better. So I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to take that white spot. There you go. See the little anchor spot right there? It came up. Now, I'm going to grab it, hold, click. I'm holding, I'm dragging. You can see I am making a nice rounded one. I'm going to go over here to this anchor point and drag. And now I've got my hole centered up, same size, centered up on the two parts so that when I put the bearing rod through there, it'll be fine. Now I don't want this side part sticking up higher. And so I'm going to use that same adjusting anchor thing with the white arrow, and I'm going to bring it down. Now you get to see the snap feature, because as I bring this thing down here, you can see that pink line show up. That's showing me, well, I'm lined up now to the top of the circle. And I'm lined up now to the center of the circle, and that's where I want to be. So I'm going to let go there, and go grab this guy, bring him down until he lines up to the center of the circle. And now he's a ½ inch tall, so I'm going to go down here and do the same thing on the bottom one. Click here, drag him down until he lines up to the center of the circle, right up there. Take this guy, drag him down until he lines up to that same center spot. And my shape is done. Now I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So grab my magnifying glass, put it out there, hold down the Alt key as I click a couple times, just so I can get all the way around the edge. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to finish up the work to make this ready. Now, one of the laser cutters is sensitive to the type of line, the width of the line you have. Well, the other one's less sensitive and adjust it, but we're going to set it up so that it's good for either one. So I'm going to take this black arrowhead and I'm going to select everything again. And now I'm going to go down here to this stroke, and I'm going to go in here. Instead of making it 1, I'm going to make it 0.001. Okay? Now 0.001, those are very thin lines, but that's just what the laser cutter needs. So I now have my piece. I'm going to go up here and save it. And I'm ready to take it over to the Innovation Center